Welcome to the AI for Career Success podcast by Curt Robbins, where we help you get smarter than your competition. This is episode 129.
And I'm Daphne.
And I'm Fred. I'm really glad to be here, ready to unpack some pretty complex global strategies that are shaping the next decade of technology.
And more importantly, the future of your professional life.
Exactly.
And Fred, this topic was actually suggested by our producer, Curt Robbins.
That's right.
Yeah, because the stakes for working professionals have, well, they've never been higher. Today, we're looking at the huge geopolitical and economic battle plan the U.S. is adopting to try and secure dominance in the global AI landscape.
Right. And for our analysis, we're drawing from the arguments laid out in the video. AI war begins. Trump unleashes plan to beat China and dominate AI.
Okay.
That was uploaded to the YouTube channel, Fox Business Clips, and it really frames this whole thing in very, very stark terms.
It does. I mean, the framing sets a powerful stage. So our mission today is to really examine what policymakers are calling the AI action plan.
We want to understand the policy changes they think are needed to make sure America wins this, quote, global AI race.
And it's not just about who has the best tech. It's being presented as a fight for the future of, global commerce and influence.
When you see how urgent it is, you can understand the intense rhetoric. I mean, this whole push is anchored by the launch of the AI Infrastructure Coalition.
So what's the core mission of that coalition, Fred? Why is it so significant right now?
It exists to support the AI action plan, to push back against regulatory friction, and ensure American tech, and by extension, American values dominate this race.
And what really stands out is just how competitive it is. The source material frames it as a zero-sum game.
No second place.
Exactly, no second place. It's either the United States or China, period.
And that no second place idea,
Yeah,
it makes it feel less like a market competition and more like, well, a new Cold War, doesn't it?
it really does. And the infrastructure numbers back that up.
Right. 80% of all planned data centers in the world are in just those two countries.
And the argument from the coalition is that the U.S. is basically fighting with one hand tied behind its back.
Because China operates without the same constraints. Environmental concerns, human rights, intellectual property rights.
Which is a profound tension. And that leads right to the first big policy hurdle the AIAC is focused on, permitting for data centers.
These data centers are the engines of AI. They need huge amounts of land, power, water. But the approval process can take years.
And the stakes are so much higher than just building some corporate campus.
Right. The source makes it clear that more data centers mean more powerful AI, which translates directly to faster emergency response times or identifying diseases.
So a delay in permitting isn't just a bureaucratic headache. It's a potential difference in lives saved.
Exactly. So the coalition's #1 goal is to streamline all those rules, local, state, federal, and just make building these things faster and more effective.
And that need for speed brings up the second policy challenge, which is the need for uniform federal rules.
Yeah, you see a lot of consensus on this, from Sam Altman at OpenAI to former President Trump. They all say a state-by-state approach would be a disaster.
The fear is that having, 50 different AI rules would just cripple the U.S.?
Right. If New York has rules that conflict with California's, you can't compete with a unified system like China's.
So success, according to them, hinges on one clear set of rules for the whole country.
A framework that's fast enough for innovation, but still respects privacy. It's a tricky balance.
So if you connect those two things, the permitting and the need for federal rules, the whole challenge really simplifies down into 3 core pillars.
3 battlegrounds where the U.S. feels it has to win.
Right. And the first one is the most fundamental: data.
Who will be in charge of your private information, your business's data? The U.S. or China?
Exactly. And pillar number 2 is completely tied to that: energy. Who controls the power?
You can't run these massive data centers without affordable, reliable energy. It's that simple. The source says the administration is pushing hard to repeal what they call flawed energy policies.
To ramp up domestic energy production?
Yeah, and they claim the U.S. has an advantage with things like cleaner natural gas or advanced nuclear, even those floating nuclear reactors.
Because if the data centers in Arizona can't stay online, the whole effort fails.
Right, and that brings us to the third pillar, and this is maybe the most relevant one for our audience: jobs and innovation.
This is the economic endgame.
Do we want the new jobs, the wealth, the next big ideas created here in the United States, or do we let them go to China?
Data, energy, and jobs. Those are the battlegrounds.
And what's wild to me, Daphne, is who is in this coalition fighting for this?
The AIC members, you mean?
Yeah, you have these giant frenemies.
Yeah.
Google, Meta, Microsoft, Cisco, but also ExxonMobil and Duke Energy.
Wow.
Companies that are normally at each other's throats.
But the source suggests they're all bound together by this idea that America needs to prevail.
That one goal is apparently big enough to make them work together.
So when you ask this powerful group what the most critical steps are, what do they say?
They boil it down to two things. Number one, a huge, fast increase in domestic energy production.
And number two,
Immediately streamline those permitting processes. The goal is to make American AI the global standard, period. Let's take a brief break for a special message from our producer, Curt Robbins.
Hi, this is Curt Robbins. First, thanks for listening. I truly appreciate your support. I want to let you know that I'm currently accepting new clients. My rates are affordable, and I have more than 25 years of experience working for enterprise companies like Microsoft, Northrop Grumman, Oracle, PNC Bank, FedEx, USAA, and Wells Fargo, among many others. If you want to improve your IT documentation and communications, hire me. I deliver fast, know how to use AI to improve efficiency and accuracy, and love going the extra mile to satisfy my clients. Thank you for subscribing and listening. Back to you, Daphne and Fred.
welcome back to the AI for Career Success podcast.
Okay, before the break, we were talking about these massive geopolitical moves. But now we need to bring this all back down to earth.
To the working professional who's listening right now.
Yeah. What does this race mean for their job, their career, their paycheck?
That's the crucial question. And the source material actually had a Fox News poll that gets right at the public's anxiety about all this.
Okay, let's get into those numbers. What are people actually thinking?
Well, there's a real split. On one hand, 51% of voters believe AI is good for their current job. So a slight majority sees it as a helpful tool today.
Okay,
But 39% disagree. That's a huge minority that feels threatened right now. And the long-term view is even more pessimistic.
that's where the anxiety really kicks in.
It does. When you ask about a long-term career, 48% believe AI will not help them. They're worried about job elimination in the next 5 years.
And which fields are most concerned?
The polls cited workers in sales, finance, and healthcare.
That makes sense. And that fear is understandable. But the source offered a really strong historical counterpoint, comparing this to the early internet.
Right, the historical analogy.
Yeah, I mean, think back to when the internet was becoming a public thing. The predictions were dire, that it would wreck the economy, destroy jobs.
And instead?
The complete opposite happened. It boosted productivity, created millions of jobs, and birthed whole new industries that nobody could have imagined.
So the key takeaway from the source is pretty clear on this. The people who predicted that technology would lead to more efficiency and effectiveness,
Have always been right.
they've always been right.
So the expectation for AI shouldn't be mass job destruction. It should be more like a seismic transformation in how we work.
A fundamental shift. The roles change, the skills you need change. It's about using AI to become more effective, not about being replaced by it.
And this all ties back to the global strategy. If the U.S. wins this race, it means the tools deployed in your job are secure, powerful, and governed by a predictable set of rules.
The source even gave a specific example, didn't it?
It did. It talked about approving the sale of, I think, of 70,000 high-end American AI units to a country like Saudi Arabia.
And why is exporting the tech so important?
Because getting American-made systems deployed globally helps the U.S. set the international standard. Every time an industry overseas adopts an American AI framework, it reinforces the U.S. lead.
And the argument is that global success then circles back and benefits families here at home.
Through economic growth, better tools, more value, it connects the policy all the way back to your paycheck.
So the main takeaway really is that this whole national strategy is about speed and efficiency.
It's a race to control the infrastructure, create the best policy, and ultimately control the data that drives everything.
And those three things, infrastructure, policy, and data, are what will shape the tools you use at work every single day for the next decade.
Thank you for listening to the AI for Career Success podcast from Curt Robbins, where we help you get smarter than your competition. Remember to like, subscribe, comment, and share. We'll see you next time.